So a real neutral position is long and strong, tall and stacked. So if we go back to the body and body bones versus muscles, sorry, one of the common errors with the neutral position is either through the coaching and through just their own comfort level on the bike, is we're not getting students into a tall enough position. So we're not really getting the true benefits of the skeleton, because ultimately, as soon as the knee or the elbows or something is bent significantly, then we're using those muscles and they're getting fatigued, they're getting tired. So I've had a lot of enjoyment and a lot of positive outcomes the last few years on just really spending more time getting my students to feel genuinely neutral and just teaching them how to reset into this long and strong, relaxed, comfortable, tall position. And I think a nice place to start is thinking about hips. So in a good neutral position, we're long and strong. The heels are down a little bit, but the hips, if you do it right, are slightly behind the bottom bracket. So I'll show you a picture here. So when you're in a nice neutral position, your hips actually end up just slightly behind the bottom bracket. They're not over the bottom bracket like here. So if you think of my center of mass, the center of mass is more the blue dot. Bottom bracket's obviously the purple one. But then my hip joint is roughly where the white circles are. So just getting into this idea, and next time you're in a true neutral place on your bike, just pay attention, maybe look down for a second without trying to move too much, or get a friend to take a picture, but really notice that your hips are actually just slightly behind the bottom bracket. And why is that important? Any sort of thoughts from you all on that one?
So the joints would be stacked from the foot, ankle, knee, and where the femur comes in the hip socket.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice description of kind of the how, and then sort of the why, like why is it advantageous to have that hip just slightly behind the bottom bracket? Devin, you want to have a crack at that one?
Yeah, sure. So if you're keeping the hip in the center of the bottom bracket, you give yourself room to move forward and backwards on the bike, and also giving yourself up and down travel.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and if in that neutral, the hip is slightly behind the bottom bracket, it helps plant more weight into the feet, which is more efficient because your legs are kind of designed to take your weight all day and your arms aren't designed to take your weight all day, which I know that sounds obvious to say, but sometimes when you say it in the context of mountain biking, it suddenly just clicks with people like, oh yeah, I should make sure most of my weight is through my legs, a little bit through my arms, because my legs are designed to actually do that, designed to stand on. But in terms of fore and aft, if my hips are slightly behind the bottom bracket and my heels are lowered, it creates a great platform to adjust from and to brace against any braking forces with minimal adjustment. So from that position, if I want to just get lower into the bike, hinge at the waist, bend my elbows, it doesn't require a huge adjustment to suddenly brace under heavy braking. And indeed, you can actually create some pretty strong, solid braking from a solid neutral position. So, and you can feel it too. Anytime you're in a neutral position and your hips are actually above the bottom bracket and not just slightly behind, you'll feel that pressure through the shoulders and the arms. You'll feel that you're a little front heavy. And you can imagine in that scenario, like, oh, if I suddenly had to brake here, I'd have to do a pretty big adjustment to, not go over the bars. So hips is a nice place to start. And it's a bit funny because I really do like starting with the feet, but today I just wanted to touch on the hips because they are essentially where a lot of our mass is. It's not necessarily our center of mass, but that's the heavier and stronger part of our body. So making sure that's aligned relative to the bottom bracket is key.